Live. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you're here live, drop us a note and say hello so that we can say hello back. But yeah, absolutely. Hi Karen, how are you?
Hello, good morning.
We've got our mugs, we're ready for our copper and a chat. Welcome to this morning's small business chat. Today we're talking about the key people skills that we need for business success. And we're having a bit of a giggle with this one, aren't we, Karen? Because usually we like to rant. And we thought no negativity this morning. We're just going to talk about, actually from a serious point, you see a lot of money being spent on books, on courses about emotional intelligence. It's teaching us all about sort of a charisma in business and business etiquette and how to influence people and build your tribe. And I'm reading all of these books, and I've got to be honest, Karen, I'm sitting there going, did we not listen to our elders? Like some of these on a very basic level, I'm sitting there thinking, actually, we've got some really good grounded advice here. So we started to post some questions and ask, what is it that we really value going forward with business? And how do we remember people and build those relationships, and what really endears us to certain people? Because ultimately that's it, isn't it? Business, it's the know, like and trust factor, as Zig Ziglar used to say.
Building relationships, isn't it?
Absolutely crucial. And got a few funny anecdotes as well for you this morning, but we want to hear about what is it about person-to-person contact when you're meeting with them, either on Zoom, either in person, or do you remember the day, Karen, when we used to meet people in person?
I know.
So what are the core things and the key skills that really are important to us, and I think really make an impression on us, and a lasting impression, positive impression at that. So I mean, Karen, I was asking you earlier, but I mean, again, you have a great community, you've built it up, you've done various networking events, I'm sure, as all of us have as business owners. What's your pet peeve? Like, what is it that you see that you sit there and go, like, I don't want to work with you? What puts you off straight away?
When it comes to networking, and this, I mean, I haven't found this when I've done my Eco Meetup networking group, but I have had it in other groups where if people come up to you, they ask what you do, they literally like, oh, okay, that's fine, and they walk off because they're not interested, you're not relevant to me, and this is what we were chatting about earlier. Or they just go, oh, here's my business card, and that's it. That's their kind of introduction. Oh, hi, who are you? What do you do? Oh yeah, take my business card, and then they're off on to the next person. There's no relationship building, no sort of rapport, nothing, and you and I were talking earlier, weren't we? We were saying just because that person might not be something that you need at the moment, it might be something in the future, or you don't know who they know that might introduce you. So I think that's got to be one of them. And the other one, I think, is going into a networking room and just standing there, when you don't know anyone and people don't really make you feel welcome.
Oh yeah, see, that's one of my key things, is I always try and include people, either in conversations and again, I don't know, I was laughing, I said, I don't know if this is an only child thing or if this is a PR thing, or just, with the group of friends.
You're just a friendly lady.
Well, I think I always know what it feels like. We all do. We all know when you're walking into a room for the first time, how it must feel being the new person. And my heart just goes out to that sort of person. I just think, all right, who can we introduce you to and see how you get going? And even if you just make that one introduction, or even to just check in, that's the other thing, just check in. If they're on their own, there's always that moment, isn't there? You've spoken to one person, that person goes, because they've just done what you've done, you've just explained. And then you're looking out in a sea of people going, oh, who do I meet now? And then just having someone going, oh, we're over here, come over. Might be a little bit more friendlier. But I'll always notice that if I'm in a recurring event, that person will always remember and come and chat. And it's you know that they were made to feel welcome, and they feel now that they're included and they're part of that group, which is wonderful for them. And it just takes no effort, does it? Really?
No, it doesn't. And I think, and it can make the world of difference to the person who's just feeling a bit especially if it's, they're not used to networking, or it might be their first time or something. I mean, it can be quite daunting going into a whole room of people that you don't know. So,
and some events are geared up. You've only got a limited amount of time, and people are just really stuck on the whole, I've got to get around this room as much as possible. And I've got to be honest, I used to do a wonderful PR event in Ireland, and I sort of thought, oh my God, I've only got a certain amount of time to go in there, go around the room and like meet as many like journalists as possible. I learned quickly that there is no such thing as a quick networking event in Ireland. It's wonderful. I absolutely adored it. In fact, the next time that I went there, I booked a room for that night. It was like, I ain't going anywhere, I'm in the bar. And you just take the time to get to know someone, and it was so welcoming. And I just sat there, I thought, I think that would be my key. Network like the Irish.
I think it is. You're better off making a few really good connections than trying to get loads of not good. I'm not saying not good connections, but where you're not actually building any kind of relationship with. And and the same comes to your business, doesn't it? If you're trying to market to everyone, you're going to get nothing.
Yeah,
you've got to choose your niche and your target market. So I think the same thing.
I think as well, the other thing that came up for a lot of people were the key thing was active listening. And again, it's when you're having a conversation, it's this whole thing of give and take. A relationship is give and take. So you notice that some people might be talking at you. I'm here to do my spiel. This is my elevator pitch. I've said what I've had to say. I've done my job. I'll go.
Yeah, and then they just shut off. I've had that. Right. Well, they've done their pitch and that, and then they're saying, "What about you?" And then they just switch off. Yeah, they're sort of looking somewhere else. They're yawning. I'm not kidding. I've had this, and I'm like thinking, "Am I really that boring?" Okay, maybe I am, but still, I've sat and listened to you rant on for 20 minutes. The least you could do me is give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're really interested. Otherwise, why did you bother asking? You may as well just walk off. Go, okay, well, that's me. Bye.
I hate that. I really do. That's so when you just sit there and go, shall I just go get my coat? Like, seriously, do you want me to? It really makes you laugh, because the worst thing ever is that when that person suddenly needs you, and they do come and find you, or they go, oh, actually, I might need you for something. Honestly, there's a point where I'm like, well, I don't think I want to work with you. There's that phrase, isn't there? It's like,
do you go talk to the hand?
La 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 la. Really professional.
Yeah, I know we're supposed to be giving good professional advice. I'm sorry, kidding aside, we wouldn't do that.
Well, no, we also like to keep it lighthearted. I did say it wasn't going to be a rant. But also the other thing that I would note is that when that person is coming to you for advice and you don't want to work with them, there are certain things like new business leads. Again, I might not be the right person for you, but I might know somebody who is. And who are you? It's always that know, like, trust factor, because if I take the time to get to know other people, of course I want to put them in the good care of somebody else that I know will do the same. So you get a little bit protective, and I have noticed that shut down. And I get that there are some networking events, or even business meetings, or even when you're meeting for coffee, you're like, why am I here? I'm really busy, I'm really stressed. But to listen and take the time, ask the right questions, make sure that's part of your rapport, because that's the other two-way relationship, is that it's not just you talking, you're asking the questions, and valid questions to get to know them. Again, it might not be about necessarily, we talked about the why and the how and the what in business, start with the why. If they're not telling you your why, dig in, ask them, what is it that drives you? Ask that question, and then you're going to see the excitement. I always think there's something really interesting about a person that's always there. They've always got something of value to say. If they're not coming across as much, it's just their inexperience perhaps, or their shyness, or perhaps they don't have that confidence. But once you start asking the right questions, I really do think it comes out. You'll find it. I think
that's a really great icebreaker as well. Rather than saying, what do you do? It's like, why do you do what you do? Or, you know, or trying to come up with some other questions that just are a bit more of an icebreaker to being asked, you know, so what work do you do? What is your business? Yeah, I think that's really, really good.
And also part of active listening, the big one that came out, I would also say, not looking at your phone. I hate that.
Turning off your phone, really, if you're in that situation.
I try and put my phone down if there is a call. I remember having a chat with someone. I was helping her. She was a friend. So I've taken time out of my working day to come and help her with her marketing. And she had her phone there, and every notification on social media that pinged up, she was saying, oh, I just have to check, it might be a client, it might be a client. And I just thought, oh my word. And all it was just her social media activity that was pinging, that she was constantly being distracted with. And I remember I sat there and I thought, I honestly, I actually turned around and went, I will throw your phone. Like, I knew her enough to go, I swear to God, I've literally got an hour. Can you put your phone away, please? I'm begging you, because I need you to focus. This is a lot of information to take in, and I've only got an hour. But, you know, because it was a friend, you could have a joke and say, look, I swear to God, it's a bit too much now.
Yeah, it happened with me years ago. I think going back probably about 8 years, 7 years, something like that, when I was doing some Twitter training with someone, and the same thing. I'd, you know, gone out my way, gone the way around to her house. I think I was doing it at a really good value as a favor, because I'd made through networking, was just to maybe, you know, half hour something. And the same thing, had her phone there the entire time, ping, ping, ping. I was just, I don't know, I was astounded. I didn't really know how to react.
I think I really liked Simon Sinek was doing a video. You know, I love my Simon Sinek. I love the interaction he was saying. And he was just saying, what does that tell? What message does it give the other person? You know, when you've constantly got, like, say for example, you've constantly got your phone in your hand, and the difference of, oh, I have a problem, can I speak to you? And you've got, yeah, of course, like, tell me. And it's like, what is the most important thing you're seeing? Like, when they're saying, yeah, I'm here, tell me, you still know that they're glued to their phone. Whereas it's like, oh, sure, of course, tell me. This real shift. And I thought, oh wow, and I do joke, sometimes you're with friends, or, you know, you're at the dinner table, you just go, what's going on here? Like, seriously, I haven't seen you for ages. What's going on with the phones out? And we're all trying to, you know, usually out of efficiency, like, where's the next place to go to? What did we say about this menu? Whatever, I don't know. It may seem efficient, but ultimately we coped without phones in a social environment for so long. I think we could do it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, there was that post that went round years ago as well, wasn't it? And you had anyone whoever answered their phone first had to pay for the whole meal.
I like that. When someone's going, I just need it for the gram, I just need it for Instagram, just this once, and then put it away. Oh my word. But it was really interesting. The other one that often comes up in business, we're talking about how we get to know each other. I think valuing each other's time is a big one. We often are I think the reason why this spurned this conversation for me is that during a time when everyone's searching for jobs and they're putting a lot of effort into answering questions or going through rounds of interviews and not even getting feedback as to why they haven't gone through, or they've not managed to make the next stage. Absolutely. And they're not getting any feedback, and constructive feedback at that. And then you hear some companies that just say, well, you know, we got 200 people for like one position, how are we going to do that? And you can understand that it can be a bit difficult, but equally the same thing happens. I don't pitch anymore because it's just such a machine, and I prefer a much more personalized, tailored process of, no, I need to get to know your business and I need to provide recommendations. So actually now I do a strategy session. If you want the strategy session, that's fine. I'll help you. This would help you, whoever you choose, but equally I'm being paid for that time and that research. But the amount of times that people will provide either information or suggestions or recommendations, and you don't even get a thank you back. And I don't think people realise or value. I'm not even going to say realise. It's valuing somebody else's time that it took out of their business to actually do that for you.
Yeah, because it's I mean, with the last company that I set up, the creative agency, and we went in and pitched for a travel tourism board, and we had put huge amounts of work into it. You know, we'd done designs, we'd done sort of a whole book of concepts and things like that. And yeah, I don't think we even got any feedback. Nothing, no email, nothing to say you weren't. We just sort of, I think we found out kind of by the grapevine that it was a bit of a fishing expedition, and they'd stuck with their previous people. But yeah, not so much as a thank you. It's really, you know, it doesn't sit right, does it?
No.
And I think that leads into the other one, which we were talking about before, was, you know, sending someone an email or something, or, you know, you always send them a quote or something like that, and then you just don't get any response. Not to thank you, to say, okay, no, I'm not going ahead or anything. So you think, well, did my email arrive there, or did it go into the junk folder? You know, and then you kind of feel, oh, should I follow up to make sure that they got it? So because otherwise you think, well, maybe reflect bad on you because they were waiting for something and they never got it, you know. So I think it's really important to just
a simple thank you for your effort. I mean, I literally got a text message saying lots of information to digest here, and I said, I'm available, don't worry, and I'll check in. But it will genuinely be a case of, you know, just thank you for your effort. Like, they appreciate that. That was enough. And I just think I really, you can work with me, you don't have to work with me. You can just, you know, we can work on a more consultation approach. It won't even matter if you say, I've actually even said, like, you could do this internally. But to me, it was like just that one line, thank you for your effort. It just, they knew how much it took.
It's all about manners.
I know, but this is why I was laughing, going, there's a part of me that just sits there and goes, well, when did we stop? It's all about results. It's all about profit. It's all about, well, I've only got a certain amount. You've got more time. In fact, the more time that you take on this stuff, it means that you make the right connections. You're not repeating yourself. You're not going with the wrong person. You're finding the right team. Your team is more likely to work with you. They're more inspired to work with you. If anything, you're saving time elsewhere. So really, it's a bit of a no-brainer. But again, I think that some people aren't taught, you know, like the simple things, like you say, the same, the thank you. I would also say that if somebody refers you new business, again, I cannot believe this does not happen. You not only say thank you to them for the new business, you might have some sort of commission scheme if you're big enough, that's wonderful. But also let them know how it's going. I know that sounds inane, like that just sounds very simple, but let that person know, going, oh, by the way, I spoke to your mate, thank you so much, or I spoke to your client, and yeah, put them in touch with somebody else, but just to let you know, but thanks for that. I think that's again something that's often overlooked. I know that if I've referred a potential client to someone, I'd like to know, did it work out for you? Because again, somewhere along the line, people aren't thinking, well, this actually reflects on the person that's been the referral, and help that process. So again, it's the simple things that we're forgetting.
And I think sometimes people overlook it, and other times they just get it just doesn't come to mind. You know, they just kind of get on with it and then they forget about it.
But I think that's the point, isn't it? Just if you're doing, say, your admin day or whatever it may be, it's like just that quick text to go, oh, just to let you know, or that quick email, just go, let you know that had the chat, all good, can't help this time, but thank you so much. Like, again, thank you so much for thinking of me. I have somebody who's referred 3 potential clients to me, and I let her know, I just updated her, let her know, and I thought, wow, thank you. But she just said, no, I just know you'll do a good job. But she'll also, at some point, she could stop at any point, which is like, you know, because if I haven't shown I'm grateful for it, she might think I might not need it. What would you do then if that was your pipeline? And the other thing that I would say, it's amazing, isn't it? 2 words, thank you, gratitude. Had a journalist, I was just saying, she was doing seasonal work for a client, seasonal features, and luckily my client she was including in the coverage. Not, it was at a point where the relationship was so good she didn't even need my help. She was just knowing we'd already done the groundwork before, she was just including them. I would say thank you to her for every piece that would appear. The Telegraph, the FT, the Times. These are big pieces.
Yeah.
So I would email her every time to say thank you. And to the point she went, wow, you like to say thank you. Like, that's really lovely. I really appreciate that. And it just goes to show how those two words we still connect and engage with each other's social media posts, for example. And I think I was in her area. She's like, oh, we should meet up. This was years ago. And it's just amazing how people remember that gratitude of, oh, okay. And again, we're reading all of these things about how to get your social media reach out there, how to make sure that we're engaging and coming up with great content. If you're not replying to people underneath that have taken the time to comment or have said how your post has either inspired them or it's actually driven them to comment, and you've not taken that appreciation of that, then again, this is why we're not nurturing those relationships anymore.
It is. It's so important, isn't it? It takes a little bit of extra time, but it can go a long way.
Absolutely. Lots to think about. I think we covered quite a bit there.
Yeah, no, I do. I think one of the other things we're doing, I mean, we kind of touched on the sort of the emails and stuff and people not replying, or some people not even acknowledging an email, which is even worse. And I think one of the other things is being late and not showing up,
especially, or changing appointments the entire time. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was in my diary. Can we reschedule? And then I can make concessions for like maybe once, even twice if it's a really good reason. But when you're the third time, I've kind of lost interest. Again, it goes back to value.
I think it does depend on the situation, doesn't it? Because I know I've had to reschedule stuff. Sometimes things get just really busy, or it's a deadline for a client job or something like that. I mean, I don't think it should be, actually I just decided to go and do a bit of shopping or something like that. That's not, you've had this in your diary. I think it's got to be a valid excuse. But just not showing up. I mean, I have had that sometimes where I have had times as well where I've been on the other end and I've totally forgotten, and it is just awful. It's the most awful feeling. But and then I've just been really apologetic. But I have had times where I've been sitting there on Zoom waiting for people and there's no one there and I haven't heard. I've had to contact them and say, what's going on? Are you you're coming? I totally forgot. Sorry, I'm doing this or that.
Yeah, that's so true. Also in person, the one that I remembered, it's really stuck for me actually. And I didn't know this. This is what I wasn't taught. I don't know if this is Mauritian time. We used to joke about Mauritian time in our family. So,
we had African time, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I was never bad to be like an hour late. I used to like say, oh my God, like 10 minutes. I am there. I am en route, but for some reason, whatever, 10 minutes. And a friend of mine turned around, and ever since I've been so conscious of this. On time is late. Like, so if you say you're meeting at 2, that's late. You need to be there on time, which is 10 to 2. And ever since I've remembered that for meetings, it's like, right, I must get, and if I'm not there at 10 to, I then start to panic, and then I'm apologizing, going, I will be there. I'm really sorry. I had a howler. I was traveling in for work for meetings, and 2 meetings. It's just every time that train was getting like, it was the really annoying train. So I'd get there on the early one. I was either there an hour early or like 15 minutes just before, and then I'd have to run. And for whatever reason, I'd be running that, and I was just mortified, absolutely mortified. So now I'm like, right, I have to get there like 10 minutes. Like, my goal is to get there 10 minutes before.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I try and aim to, but if not, then I try and at least get there bang on time. But yeah, I've had some people have just got no concept of like just wandering 15 minutes later, and it's like, hi. Like there's nothing wrong. It's hilarious. But I think that 10 minutes before as well goes back to the interview days.
Right.
I mean, if you got there too early, you'd probably fail the interview. If you got there too late, you would fail the interview. So you had to get there that sweet spot, and I think it was always about 10 minutes before.
That's what it is.
That's what I always remember. Yeah, and going for interviews was always get there 10 minutes before. Yeah, not too early because then you're too keen. Not late because then you don't care. Yeah, it's quite funny.
You're just stalking outside with a cup of coffee, just waiting like to get in.
We've got some comments here. Gail saying, I value people who are on time. I know that, Gail, very much so. Do you think we have lost that personal contact now that everything is online? Interesting.
I think it gives us an opportunity to work harder, and to be honest, if anything, it's going to prepare you for when we come back offline. And we will come back offline. We will go back to meetings at some point, whatever that may look like, but we will come back to it. And I think that we have to, what I'm finding really interesting is that I read somewhere, someone posted, we don't have Zoom fatigue, we're just bored. The structure's bored, we need to jazz it up. And actually, if you have a really engaged format, and I'm seeing that more and more, is that, people want to come and they want to interact. And I think the problem is that we look at a camera and we think, oh my word, I'm having to perform, or I'm having to talk at something, and we forget that there's, I'm always looking at camera when we're doing these things, and I have to remember to look at the camera and think, oh, I'm talking to whoever's watching live or on the replay as well. So I'm doing both, and I'm learning. It's a skill that I'm having to learn. So if anything, because we're online, I think we have to work harder. And hopefully
we do. I think that's why it's quite draining as well, energy wise, because you are having to work out so much more as well, because you don't get all the same vibes and everything online that you do in person. So
yeah, I think as well, body indicators. So was it 90% of what we mean isn't said? It's non-verbal cues, something 90%. So I think we can't see that when you're only seeing here. Can't see somebody who's tapping their leg, or perhaps their hand is tapping underneath the table or something, going, come on. Or you might think that somebody is bored when they're actually very focused and looking at it, and not.
And I think it's probably just about keeping it short as well online, because it is that much more kind of draining. I find I get to sort of about 45 minutes, and that's then I'm starting to flag. I really start struggling after that.
But again, this is a good thing to practice, isn't it? I mean, that's why for me, you talk about your elevator pitch, and that's 60 seconds. You've got to say it all in 60 seconds. Well, once you've got it down to your 60 seconds, what more could you be doing? What more could you be doing? What more could you be doing to make it more engaging? So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, definitely. I had another comment. Gail agreed. Yeah, sort of people who just hand over a card. She said, I've heard you said this one before, actually, which was a tip from a lady called Marilyn Messick. If you get cornered, you can exclaim squirrel, and when they look, you can escape. Oh, there's a squirrel. Yeah, and dash. Yeah.
Tip, Gail. Can I do that on Zoom though, is what I'm asking?
No, we'll have to come up with a new one. So yeah, ideas, please.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that's been of help. I find it really interesting how we sort of are going back to basics, and again during lockdown this made it more pertinent for me, is that we're appreciating and we're recognizing it's the simple things, and more so in business when everyone's very driven to make things work, the pressure's on. I think that just provides even more reason to be more personal, even though we are online, but that's how we're going to get the impact, and that's how we're going to make those connections, and remembering things about each other that was the other thing that I was going to say, is that, you know, forgetting names, you can learn how to remember names, but also remembering key details about people that if you haven't seen, I come across as a bit of a stalker, but I will remember what you said about some favorite fruit that you buy in Tesco's, but I won't remember what you do. And then I'll see you 2 years later and I'll be like, oh, Karen, are you still a fan of, like, I don't know, mangoes in or whatever, papaya fruit, whatever. And you'll be like, who are you?
Oh,
But it's
dear,
remembering
funny.
those little details. There's always something fascinating to remember about someone. So it's remembering that. I think it really does provide a better, deeper connection. Brilliant.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We have to crack on because that's the whole point.
Half past already, yeah.
Lots to say. But thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. And if you have any questions, pop them down below or comments, and we'll be sure to come in and comment later. Thank you very much.
See you next week. Bye.